Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Kim with Creative Crafticality, and today I'm going to be doing a flip through of the new Candyland board game junk journals that I've just recently completed. If you haven't seen my Instagram posts and my YouTube shorts little sneak peeks, I did finish them up. I filled them up with all the goodies, and now I'm going to show them to you, and as of this video, they will be listed in my Etsy shop. So I used two different eras of board games, so they're slightly different in size because of the way the board game board is made. They usually are all different sizes. I have a 1980s, which is the larger size, and then this one was the early 2000s. So anyway, I'll just go ahead and get into them. There's two from each game board, and I used the top part that has the actual Candyland on the top, and then on the two bottom sections I used a piece from the actual box from the board game, because on the bottom, of course, the Candyland is not on the bottom of the board. So the covers are two pieces of the board game. And I always do my Candyland board games with binder rings, so that's just how I've always done them. So I'm just going to go ahead and start with this one here. It's a little bit smaller. I believe they're both sizes are 8 inches wide as far as the cover goes, but the 2000s board game was a little bit smaller, so they are 7 3/4 in the height of the book. So I'll start with this one. This is the part of the game board that has the Candyland already on it. So I have some rainbow rickrack along the side. I added a card. I made this little ice cream die cut. I had like a die that made that, so I added that as a decoration. On the side I have the binder rings. They are an inch and a half, and then I added some ribbon and fabric to each one. And then I made a charm dangle with one of the game pieces, the gingerbread man. I have a little lollipop charm. I have little candy charms, a gummy bear charm. So yeah, they're all there, and they're on a lobster clasp, so you can take that off. Go ahead and open it up here. I have Candyland fabric that I found that I put on the inside of the covers, and then I made pockets with some rickrack. I added some paper along the edges, and then I had this really fun candy trim on the side there. I made a tag with some paper, and then I had this gingerbread man napkin that I used as a little decoration there, and I sewed around the edges. And then this is just a little journaling card. Over here I used some scrapbook paper to make these pages, and then here is a gummy bear playing card, and this is part of the inside of the board game, the little cardboard piece that introduces all the characters. That's in there, and then in this little side pocket is just a little note paper. I sewed ruffle on the side there with some polka dot fabric, and then on the other side is another pocket, and there are some flashcards that I made. I'll try to have these up on my website. And then this is another journaling card. Here is a gingerbread man workbook page, and then it has sweets on the other side. And I do have this really fun Candyland gingerbread house wrapping paper, so I just put 2 pieces together and sewed them so they were a little bit more sturdy. I made a belly band using the playing cards, added some stickers, and I did a little short on that. And then I added in this fun Candyland Valentine and another piece of the inside. So this particular year of Candyland, the inside board, they didn't line up all, like they had separate pictures here, and they weren't, so they were perfect. I couldn't cut them at perfect squares. So that's why it's like this. You'll see in the 1980s version that inside board, they had it laid out differently so that you could cut out each of the characters at a perfect rectangle. I hope you understand that. All right. So any of my pages that were a thinner book page, I added circle enforcers onto. Let me move this over. There's a little sparkly cupcake sticker there. I did have a candy cookbook, so I included a couple pages, and I did have some stamps that I used. Here are some fun little puffy gummy bear stickers. And then I had Candyland coloring book, a couple different ones. This is an envelope that I just made a little pocket, and then I had this flashcard of candy, jelly beans. And then I did have some fun candy and sweet stickers that I used throughout. These are some Candyland stickers from, I think it was a Valentine's set. Up here I have a little mini Candyland card and Sweet Tarts packaging. I did have this donut ribbon that I used for some altered paper clips. And then each book will have one of these Candyland. It's a scratch and sniff, so it does kind of smell like fruit. And then I stamped little gingerbread man over there. This was a paper plate. I just thought it was fun, so I cut it out the center of the plate, and I was only able to put one hole, so that just kind of flops around, but I think it's fun. And then I made a pocket out of one of the character cards. And this little tag, I had this candy die. I had some of this candy paper. I didn't have much left, so I had to divide it up between the books, and I made this a little pocket. And I had this fun little trim that I sewed on there. There's another flashcard and another Candyland Valentine, a different kind. I was able to find some actual Candyland wrapping paper, so I made a page out of that. And this was the kind that came like folded up so that it does have creases. This is a Candyland coloring book page. Kind of I think I found this on Amazon, so the pages it's not like authentic Candyland, but it was the Candyland theme, so they were all different. Added some stickers up there. I found these fun napkins. I don't remember where I found these, but I sewed it together, the edges. And then I had some donut wrapping paper, just a little bit left, so I made pockets. And then this is a little mini Candyland workbook. It was just a little tiny one. I don't remember where I found that. This was from the Big Rock Candy Mountain book that I had. I didn't want to cut that down, so I just folded it at the end. And then this was another Candyland coloring book. This was official Candyland coloring book. Here is I think it's a Betty Crocker cookbook page with one of the candy pages. This one's an older one, so I did add some hole reinforcers. I sewed a doily on this one, so it has a little tuck spot with some more note paper and some little Candyland stickers there. Here's another one of the character cards. This was just a little bag, and I added another note paper there. I had some Valentine I think it was a See's Candy catalog, so I added that in, and then I had this really fun trim that I added, the pom-pom trim. Another sticker, and then I had these parlor bingo cards, so I added a little Candyland board game sticker there and one on this side. This was another book. It was like a candy book that I had, children's book. Just love the beautiful bright colored pages. This was from the actual box from the game, so I cut it apart and made 2 pages, from one for each of the books from this particular board game. And then on the other side, I sewed the sides of the board game. And then here's another character card and flashcard. Now for when I sewed these, on this in particular, because it was too thick cardstock, I had to, or not, it was like chipboard, I had to like use my hand and slowly do it, because otherwise you risk breaking a needle or it just doesn't go through. So yeah, that's what I had to do. And then I sewed some vintage seam binding over here. It was like the candy stripe. And then up here is another little Candyland board piece. The same on that side. And then I stamped a gumball machine over here. One time when I was at the bins, I found these huge Candyland game pieces. I found a few, not a whole, I wish I had found more, but I probably found like maybe 15 or so, but ginormous. And I wish I didn't see the whole board, because it would have been awesome to see that big of a Candyland board for these cards. I thought they were funny. Another coloring book page, and then this is a manuscript writing paper. And I just added the doily and added more flashcards in there. I have a little ice cream stamp, so I stamped that, and then I made this lollipop. I have a metal die that cut that out. Over here, I just added a game piece, and then this was another Valentine. It's super tiny. They were, I think this was this year's Candyland Valentine, and it came with lollipops. So there's 2 little holes here if you punch them out. But I think that is like so super tiny for a Valentine. I was expecting them to be a little bit bigger, when I bought the box of them, compared to the other two that I showed you that were much bigger. So I don't know what happened. This is some paper with ice cream. Some washi tape and more stickers there, and then another candy cookbook page. And then here is one of the scrapbook paper pages with another one of the ice cream papers, and on this side another flashcard, and this was my little tag pocket that I made in one of my shorts, but it has some more playing cards and a little gingerbread man there. And then in the last pocket I made these little gumballs. They have little shaker candies in them, super cute. And there's another playing card and flashcard, and then a vintage Betty Crocker recipe card for a party cake. So that's all in there. And that is it. That's the back cover. And the back of the book. So I think they turned out super cute. I know they're a little bit of an odd size, but that's the way it goes when you're using the board game. There is some of the older 2000 versions where the book is folded in fourths, and it's a little bit it's narrower on each fourth. But with these, they're folded in half. I think this one's folded in half vertically, and then the other one is folded in half horizontally, if that makes sense. But every iteration of a Candyland, depending on the year or generation, I guess, or decade, is different as far as the printing and the color, like the color of the back of the board. Some of them are black, and I don't use that version because I just don't like the black part. So yeah, anyway. Okay, so I'm going to do some quick flip throughs of the rest of them. Probably won't talk as much on those, but you'll just get to be able to see them. This is the one with the Candyland from the side of the box, just because it's the bottom part of the board, and it doesn't have the Candyland imprinted on it. That's what that looks like. Each of the charms are slightly different because they're different colors, but they all have the same amount and the same type of charm on them. And they all have the same amount of pages and similar items in them as well. I will try and link down below the other Candyland videos that I have when I've made them previous years, so you can see the differences of how I made them before. They're all made with the rings though, but I decorated them a little bit different, and the book pages and the scrapbook papers are different. I'm not sure what I'm going to do the next time I make these, because most of the papers, like the candy papers that I found, were from Joann's. And Michaels does not carry anything, any kind of candy paper. There was one paper that I had found at Hobby Lobby, but they don't carry that anymore. So I don't know. I'm gonna either have to do digital or scour the internet to see if I can find papers. Let me know if you have a source for candy paper of any kind. Washi tape is popping up right here, so I'm going to add a little bit of glue to that, just so I don't forget. I go ahead and stick some down at the bottom as well. Just seems like they always pop up at the tops and the bottoms. All right. I don't know where I found these. I'm pretty sure it was at the bins, but I've had them for a while and very rarely. There's not a lot of books that this would go with, besides this anyway, because there's lots of bright colors. I suppose I could use it like on maybe strawberry shortcake or, I don't know, Rainbow Bright. Oops. That. Here's the candy board, or the box piece. Oh, so this one was $19.99. I was wrong. So $19.99, and then the other, I believe, was an $84. And then I think when the 2000s came along, that's when they went with the smaller box, and they folded up the board game in fourths. This large one came from 2021. Really would be interested in seeing the size of the board for that one. You could totally like make a large 12 by 12 scrapbook with that board game. I'm not sure of the actual pages in here, but that will definitely be in my Etsy listing. I'm going to put a little bit of glue on this washi too. I love using the washi, but you always have to add a little bit of glue to make sure it stays down. All right. So that one. And here are the pieces in the back. The shaker gumball machine again, and then this one has no cook divinity. Maybe they're like meringue cookies. White frosting. No, it's just frosting and corn syrup, confectioner sugar, nuts. It's always interesting, the recipes of earlier years. This one is from 1971. There's the back of that one. Here is this one. It has the yellow game piece and these charms. It's that little cute journaling card. Now these character cards you could actually cut square or rectangle because of the way they have them laid out. This one is 8 by 9, so it's a bit bigger. So the Candyland stickers and wrapping paper, I believe I found on eBay. Could have been Etsy, but it's probably eBay. Some of the, like the Valentines, you can get, I think the Dollar Tree has the Candyland Valentines. The ones I found for this year, I found at the Ohio thrift store that they had, like they do liquidation, so they had new boxes. But it was this year's. But I believe that the Dollar Tree has them. The coloring book, the coloring books, I don't remember where I got those. I've collected things over the years, so it's just various places. And I have used the mini Candyland board game that they used to carry at the Dollar Tree, the color form one. So I have some things left, but I don't have the actual like board that, because I used those as pages in my previous books. Oh, there's another washi that's coming up. And I'm sad that they don't carry them anymore. I went to find them and they just had the Valentines. I mean, you can find them on eBay now, but you won't be paying $1.25. So for this one, the box was in really bad shape. So this was the candy part off the top of the box. I didn't have enough of the little side part of the box to use on this cover or like box page that I made. This has this one and that character card. And on this game, they put the directions on the inside of the cover. That was the 1980s version. Put a little bit of glue up here too. Just want to make sure those don't come up. So this paper here was the paper that they had at Hobby Lobby, and they no longer carry. But all of the other papers are from Joann's. So just have to go a different route. And then in the back here it has a caramel apple card. And that is that one. This back is like this. And our last book is also one of the bigger sized. It's the other side, or the bottom part of the book, or the bottom part of the board game. This is what the charms look like. So they all have the same set of these flashcards that I made, but the journaling cards are different. Of course, the character cards, I divided up the character cards between the two books that I used that particular board game for. So those will be different in each one. Oops, it's getting caught. There we go. And I'm going a little bit quick with the rest of these. You can always like slow down do a slow on your video in your YouTube settings. But there will also be pictures, if I can talk, pictures of everything in the Etsy listing, so you can see it again. Seem to be okay. This is the box part. So this one's 1984, it says right there. here's the last page. And then in this book, it has ice cream for the card and the same and then the back is like that. So yeah, I think they turned out really super cute. I'll go ahead and bring them all in, and I'll have them listed in my Etsy shop in this order, the way that I flip through them. So yeah, so you can go back and refer to the video if you need to look at them again. So anyway, hopefully you enjoyed this. If you're not able to pick one up in my Etsy shop, I'm glad you stopped by, and hopefully they give you inspiration to make your own journal. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. Which one was your favorite, or have you made one before, whatever. I'd love to hear what you've done and what you're working on right now. So yeah, this is Kim with Creative Crafticality. Bye. God bless.